A sighting a year? No. That seems weak compared to this place, as they triumph over 300 every single year, and that's just the tip of the iceberg for this place. I don't have a special internment here for you guys, but I gotta say, this is one of the places with the highest UFO UAP sightings probably ever per year. And this place is the Bonnybridge villages of Scotland. And just getting right into it, I gotta say that it's really insane to just stumble upon this. Nate had gone over and kind of just stumbled upon this and showed me, and I knew that we had to talk about it because I was
Right,
like,
yeah.
astonishing.
Yeah, over 300 a year. Still, like, to this day, like, that's been a consistent number since, like, the 70s when some of the first reports were made.
Exactly. And so today, we're going to go over the Bonnybridge UFO incidents and kind of study up on this little small villages that is just like a strip mall of towns. And all the stuff that they've got going on, because I think it's mighty fine, mighty interesting, and I think that it's going to be a fun time. For those of you coming in, welcome. Hello, I'm Joey, one of your hosts, and I'm here with my co-host, Nate.
That's me.
And we take these projects from cryptids, aliens, mythos, all sorts of things, and we just deep dive on them. Yeah, hauntings too. Yeah, we do everything on the paranormal spectrum. And soon to be yokai. That's gonna be our next mythos stuff. So that's gonna be a lot of fun. I love them. But if that ever interests any of you guys, follow us. Hit subscribe on YouTube. Appreciate it.
Hit the like, hit the follow, hit the share, hit the subscribe.
Exactly.
Tell all your friends and family, because if you don't, you might see me in your bushes staring at you, just mouthing the word subscribe, and it's gonna get uncomfortable for both of us.
I will definitely throw my tiny little cat into your house. He is a wrecking ball. He's a demon, a devil.
With a note that just says subscribe tied to him.
Yeah, and that's why he's running. That's what's got him spooked. So,
right.
Yeah, thank you guys so much to do.
Before we get too far into the alien stuff, like you said, this is kind of like a strip mall of villages, and I just wanted to talk about that a little bit, because we're going to be focusing mostly on the alien stuff today, but I don't want anybody in Bonnybridge to hear this and be like, oh, well, all they care about is our aliens. No, we see you for who you are. We know you're not to be confused with High Bonnybridge, which literally touches you, or Denny Lonehead, which literally touches you. So there's a bunch of these. They have a creek right next to the river called Bonnywater, but it's just a bunch of these towns that seem to have started as suburbs to Falkirk, and then just grew, and now they all touch. But it's kind of a small town, to be honest. Like you said, with the strip mall of towns, it's only like 2 miles across, if that. It's not very big.
Yeah, it's not incredibly huge, but
1.81 miles squared.
Yeah, square miles is only about what? I mean, yeah,
it's that's 4 miles like west of Falkirk, and a drive. Yeah. Like you could drive the whole town in like 10 minutes.
Yeah, I was like, the drive from my hometown to Salt Lake is a lot bigger than that. So,
yeah.
I was like, I mean, it's definitely small, but what is in it is huge.
Yes.
Just saying. And it always has to, I don't know if you know, but Aurora, Texas, Roswell, New Mexico, and Bonnybridge might just be all connected to UFO sightings. With how many they got, I mean, it's crazy because those places that I mentioned, like New Mexico, like and stuff like the Roswell, Aurora, stuff like that.
The McKinney Air Force Base in Texas.
Absolutely, they're just like all similar in the same fact that they just have so many sightings that, again,
they have so many in this area.
Crazy.
They've dubbed it the Falkirk Triangle. 90% of them take place in Bonnybridge, but around Falkirk and Bannockburn, they see them there too. And you were saying, Joey, that the reviews for the place even talk about it.
Yeah. Well, if you, I used to be a realtor, so I like to look at some of the houses sometimes, and there's plenty of questions online that are like, is this a good, safe place for children to grow up? You know, is this a good place to start a family? Is this a place that you want to live? And like 90% of the people are like, yeah, it's a great place to live. It's beautiful. Well, if you don't mind the aliens, like, it's actually pretty good. You know, it's pretty nice. You're like, huh? And like every other review is like, yeah, if you're not afraid of being abducted, I mean, it's pretty great. Excuse me?
We all need a night vacation that turns into like a 3-day stint that we just don't
A
remember.
3-day stint, either that or you were at the local pub a little too long. You know what I mean? Saying.
Oh, there's gotta be a bar somewhere there that's named like after the aliens or something, or it's called like, yeah, it's called like, you know, the unidentified flying spirits or some shit. Like,
I wouldn't be surprised, man. And okay, so like you were talking about the Falkirk Triangle, and I was like, it's essentially Scotland's Bermuda.
Yeah.
It's a little weird. There's not like tons of stuff going on in there, like, oh, there's people missing and stuff like that. It's like, no, not usually. Usually
they come back.
Yeah, they do come back. They might leave for a minute.
It's like it reminds me of that scene of Monty Python, and he's like, "She turned me into a newt." And they all look at him because he's clearly a dude, and he's like, "I got better."
I got better. Yeah.
They abducted me. They all look at him. I mean, they put me back.
They did put me back, but hey, I did consent. No consent.
Exactly.
Which,
how long till the aliens start making people sign like liability waivers?
Yeah, right. I was like, ooh.
That's gonna be their next big reveal. It's gonna be 2 aliens are gonna go on like the Tonight Show and be like, all these people that say we abducted you and you didn't know about it, we made you sign a form, and they're just gonna whip out like a book.
Yeah. It's just like, you're not in the log, buddy. Oh man. I actually had some stuff that was kind of funny around the same areas. So within this triangle, there's some things documented from before 1970 that I found. That's pretty cool.
Ooh.
Pretty cool.
Nice.
So
Yeah, mine
in this
starts
triangle,
at 1979. So I'm definitely excited to hear that. Sorry.
Yeah, no, in this triangle in 1113, that's the year, there was a written document of religious pilgrims going through the area, and they reported seeing dragons engulfed in glowing flame appear from the sea and go into the sky.
That's crazy. They just watched it come. Hey, the government confirmed they're in the ocean. Maybe they were back then too.
I'm just saying.
That's
And
crazy.
that was one of the oldest accounts that they have, and it's just like a drawing of somebody drawing a dragon, and they had some text under it. That's where we just had that, and it was like, huh, that's interesting.
Huh.
And
Neat.
in January of 1254, aliens or dragons. Said it here.
Yeah, in case you guys didn't know.
Yeah. Actually, they're all what was it? Bears.
Arson bears.
Aliens are bears. So, if we connect all that together, in January 1254, a scribe wrote about a glowing floating light and recorded it. And it said, in serene sky and clear air with stars shining and the moon's 8 days old, suddenly appeared in the sky, a kind of large, elongated shape, well-equipped and of marvelous color.
Well-equipped is an interesting little, like, descriptor in there. That means
It
he
is.
saw something on it that he was like, that's a weapon. Like...
But brother, that is an M19. Oh my.
It's just a UFO with a Glock taped to it.
Oh shit. Oh shit. So in 1290, the friars described in a written like a tablet, I guess, like a clay tablet thing, is a flat, round, shining, silvery object that was flying over them, and there is some reports that say that this might have been a hoax by two teenagers. This specific one in 1290, they said it might be just because of the drawing and everything. But they were like, it's still on a tablet, and it's not something teenagers usually know how to do. So,
right,
yeah,
it was the first work of fan fiction ever.
Yeah, but
and then Friar Pete and Friar Mark kissed. No, I'm just kidding.
Oh, dude, no way. They courted? No way, they courted.
Yeah, it's just the world's first fanfic. That's all.
And then that's the earliest accounts I have for this specific area. But I just thought those three accounts were interesting to see them happen between 100 years. There's like 100 years. I think the closest one was 54 to 90. So like about 40 years. But still, 1113 is crazy. That's so long ago. 1,000 years.
Yeah.
Almost, that's 900 years. That's 900 years before we even get to the 2000s. So like,
right.
It's crazy.
That's crazy.
It's crazy.
It's kind of crazy too that like it's all UFO sightings, but like some people theorize that Bonnybridge is a gateway, so to speak, to another dimension. But the Pope didn't open a portal there, so I don't know. Maybe. But that's one of the theories. And then the other big running theory that they see these things so much is because of literally it says guiding the hidden or the righteous to the hidden stone of destiny.
That is something. That is something.
So it's Westminster. It's also known as the Stone of Scone, the Westminster Stone. And it says it was used in coronations for centuries. And it's shrouded in mystery and tradition. And honestly, it's kind of hard to find anything, like, super concrete about it. But a lot of people say that it's Scotland's version of like the Rosetta Stone or like Cleopatra's Needles. You know what I mean? It's like a very historic thing that they're fairly certain existed, but now it's been gone for so long, who knows?
Yeah, and that would be interesting. Like ancient artifact type shit.
Yeah.
That's interesting. I mean, that's crazy, because, like, again, who knows how old these things could be.
For real. And if they saw stuff shooting out of the sea way back then, you know what I mean?
Well, that's what I'm saying, is, like, even if, like, because there's a bunch of reports that I have that are like, it's probably the military, and I'm like, the military did not have this technology back in the thousands. Okay.
Yeah, submarines are like pretty new as far as like inventions are concerned. Like,
yeah, anything that can go in the water that wasn't a ship.
Yeah, boats have been around since people have been around, because they found out wood floats. So if you just put a bunch of it together,
everything floats. So like, if you just stick a piece of metal inside, you're like, oh wait,
yeah,
it's interesting. Yeah, like there's plenty of stuff that, like I said, like there's no way. Like that's the one thing I can't stand about these is like when people are like, Actually,
the
it's just the
submarines were
government.
technically, I guess, invented in 1620. And I didn't know that they were that old, to be honest.
They can't
But
go
the
that. I remember
military
they couldn't go that
submarine...
deep, though. I mean, they didn't go
No.
that deep.
No. And the military submarine was built in 1776. So it started out as like a rich people thing, and then the military found out how to build it cheap and just kept going.
Ah, yes, we all know what happens when you go down into deep submersible waters with cheap things, and you're a rich guy.
Where's my game controller?
Yeah, where's my then? It's
I mean
$5
steering
on
wheel. I
Amazon
said
right now. It's
steering wheel, you
actually
heard me.
$6 on Amazon right now, dude. So pick yourself up one. Build a submarine.
Bro, huh? If you're gonna build transportation, guys, you can't go super cheap with it, because you're gonna kill somebody.
I don't know. I mean, they did it and they were fine, right?
Unless, of course, the plan is to kill somebody, like that one roller coaster that guy invented that, like, kills you by G-force. But they don't have that in Bonnybridge.
I guess so, huh? Let's see.
So I have one that is... It's called the Deckment Law Encounter. And this took place November 9th, 1979. These are where, like, some of my encounter stories first take place. And, the gentleman's name was Bob Taylor. And he says he saw a large circular craft in front of him near Livingston. So he's between Bonnybridge and Livingston there. But what's crazy to me, too, is, plus the ones you said and this one, I've noticed that these ones are all the circular type. You know what I mean? Sometimes you hear cigar shape, sometimes you hear triangle. These ones are all circular. But he must have got a really good sighting of it, because he goes into detail. He says it was 20 feet in diameter and at least 12 feet high, with two small spheres with spikes dropped and started rolling toward him. The spikes grabbed his pants and started dragging him towards the ship. Bob Taylor passed out for about 20 minutes, and when he come to, the ship vanished, and he was left temporarily unable to walk. Bro, what?
I don't know why that made me think about that one guy when he's talking about the female Sasquatch.
Oh, yeah. And then she just started jerking the knob. he's like, I didn't want to. It was all biological.
And
but...
then at the end of the day, I blew my load in the Sasquatch.
I blew the Sasquatch. Yeah,
it's like, that's what I thought about as soon as you said the pants were gone. I was like, oh man, he started jerking the ween.
But yeah, I guess they ripped him into the ship. He passed out for about 20 minutes, and when he came to, the ship vanished, and he was left temporarily unable to walk and without pants. He reported it, and as it appeared he was attacked, the police investigated, and they found clearings and marks that lend to the credibility of his claim. So he crawled to a police station, and he reported it, and he looked messed up. He was dirty. He was missing pants. I guess he had bruising on his face. So they went to where he said it happened, and they found, like, a clearing of brush there and marks that look like spikes, they said, like tread almost, going into the ground there. So it's, for 1979, that's a pretty credible story in police work. Like,
that is pretty cool. I will say, that's pretty cool.
Yeah. The next, like... So the important thing to note, too, is they do get over 300 a year. 90% of them are the same. I saw the circular object shoot out of the sea, or shoot overhead, or, I was abducted, but I don't really know what happened, and they put me back, and, there's no real way to, like, investigate all this stuff.
Confirm or deny, yeah.
Yeah. So, but 300 a year, consistently, since before the 70s, you can't also just deny that. That's over 50 years of them consistently having over 300 a year.
Yeah.
But the next one that really like kind of stuck out to me is called the Hanging Star Incident of 1992. I was born in 1992, so this incident is as old as me. James Walker, driving between Falkirk and Bonnybridge, was forced to stop due to a star-shaped object blocking the road. So he describes it as star-shaped. He says it was shining, but he couldn't tell if it was a false light or if it was metallic. He says it was just hovering there for a while, and then it shot back into the sky, and he reported it, but I mean, there was no evidence or anything. They couldn't, it was gone, it shot back up in the sky. But he was very adamant that it looked like possibly a metallic or emitting some kind of light, bioluminescent. Well, it wouldn't be bioluminescent. Star-shaped object was just sitting there, just hovering above the road. And he said that it stopped him for a good 20 minutes. And then it just shoots back into the sky. Never to be heard from again.
That's crazy.
It's just insane how many different types of things happen here, how many different theories are about it, how much mystery is surrounded by this area. And then, again, back to the reviews of the people living there, how nice it apparently actually is. Just, if you don't mind the aliens.
Yeah, if you don't mind them, they're good. You're fine. They're like, what? I just love the fucking... I just love Bob Taylor. Story.
Yeah, that one's so crazy.
Just my pants were gone. I couldn't move. My ass hurt. God damn.
I guess he, over a few days regained his ability to walk. But that's still better. Crazy. Also in October of 1994, for a solid week straight, they had at least 3 to 5 reports a day of multiple, at least 5 UFOs just flying overhead doing stuff. And for a week straight, they had 3 to 5 reports a day of these 5 UFOs flying overhead. And this happened in October of 1994. And that would freak me out. That feels like a military practice, but if it was UFOs in 1994 and they're these circular things, the military did not have circular ships in 1994, I don't think.
Maybe.
I've never been part of the military.
I have also never been a part of the military. But I have a story from November of 2024.
Oh, snap! That was 4 months ago.
Yep. So a man spoke of his experience while within the triangle, right? The Bonnybridge.
Yeah, the Falkirk Triangle, Bonnybridge Triangle.
Yeah. So his story is pretty funny. But so I've been doing this job for 45 years. I honestly believe that somewhere in the skies of this planet we are dealing with non-human intelligence, says the UFO expert Malcolm Robinson, who says NASA, the American government, and the Pentagon have all investigated extraterrestrial sightings, and as a part of a new documentary series showing on Blaze, experts from around the world have tried to uncover why UFO activity in the Falkirk Triangle, located above the city, is so intense. So, you were talking about the 1992 one, right? With Gary Wood and Colin Ray.
Yeah.
So there's a similar incident that happened in November with these guys that remain anonymous. Okay, they've chosen to remain anonymous. But they stated that they saw a similar black object in a sky while driving around at night. That there was no lights. It had a strange porthole. And they had been hit with a beam in their car. They passed out for what they think was a couple seconds. and they woke up in town in front of a different store, in front of a store. No idea how they got there, and they just woke up together, and they were like, huh? Yeah,
What?
and they went to the police, and the police just said, yeah, it happens sometimes.
Yeah.
That's pretty much it. That was like their whole story. Is like they were relating it to the 1992 incident, as like they blacked out a little bit. But this is like a little different because they just blacked out. It just appeared in a different spot.
That's so funny.
And it was daytime. It was daytime, so like they had been passed out all night.
That's crazy.
Like, okay, all right, and that like that's so recent, you know. And they're just like, what do you do? What do you do? Do you just go home? You just go home after that? You're just like, well, all right, I guess.
Guess that happened. Yeah. I do think it's important to note too that most of the abduction stories here, they're back within the same night. They're just not always like 100% back to normal the same day, but they're usually back within 24 hours at least.
Which does beg a weird question. I know we talked about this in the first couple Alien Files, but like, there's an odd correlation between all of that, right? Like all of these people going through these abductions and going through this stuff. It's like, bam, like it gets hit. You're always either passed out or something hits you with a light, something grips you, you know, and you're just like out. And then you wake up in either a different location, missing memory of how you got somewhere. So like it's the same stuff in a completely different country. Ass hurting, like
yeah.
Just
but
saying,
you're right. It is the same stuff in a completely different country, but that is also why I brought up the 24-hour thing, because it's interesting to note the people there are like, it's beautiful here, it's wonderful here, we don't mind the aliens. If you don't mind aliens, you'll love it here. I have an interesting article that I'm going to read about that in a minute, but they like are real open to it, and they have the most UFO sightings per year, but they're always back within a very short time frame if they get abducted, even though they are missing those memories or something happens. However, on the opposite side of it, like sometimes over here in the desert, people will get abducted, and we had that one story, I believe it was also in the first Alien Files, where the man went missing for like 3 weeks.
Yeah.
Like he was gone for like almost a month. Like he was a reported missing person, and they were like freaking out, and there was a manhunt for him. And then
pretty much were like, if I remember right, in that story, they were pretty much ready to just declare him dead.
Yeah, and then he just showed up.
Coming back,
like,
he's like, hey.
Yeah, and he was like, "Oh no, I disappeared last night," and they're like, "No, the fuck you didn't."
Brother, you've been gone for weeks.
Right.
Huh?
And so it's crazy to think, but then it's also more rare here than that. Like we don't get 300 a year in one area here. You know what I mean?
No, we don't. We really don't.
So I wonder if there's some correlation between that too. Like, is it different? Like how people who live in different areas develop different cultures. Is it similar with the aliens? If they live in different parts of our world, are they developing different abduction styles? Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know. And it's strange. I mean, to think too that these things have been happening for well over 1,000 years.
Right, yeah. You had that one from 1123, it was?
It was 1113.
1113, yeah.
Yeah.
That's, oh man.
Insane. It's far back. Further back than I could ever even be like, that's happening for so long.
Mm-hmm.
There has to be something. It has to, you know, like, come on, I'm not like crazy. Going insane now.
We're closer to being 1,000 years to that than we are to most big historical events in the world, like the Industrial Revolution and stuff like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Shoot, we're almost closer to being 1,000 years from that than we are to when cell phones were invented. So Almost, because we're only 80-something years from being 1,000 away from that.
Yeah.
And cell phones were invented, I believe, about 60 years ago now? No. 50.
Something close
70s. Somewhere in the 70s, because I remember it was the really big, huge phone with the pull-out antenna that, like, you know what I mean? But you could only get them if you were rich back then, and now everybody has one.
Everyone has one in their pocket, and you can get it for $5 a month. Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember it well. I remember back when I was even younger, just a child, and my I believe it was my brother. He like bought a BlackBerry, and that was like the most advanced shit of all time because it had you could flip it up, and then you could type on the keyboard, and we were like, this is the future.
I had a buddy who had one. He called it his Crackberry because he was like addicted to it.
I'm just saying, we're going back to flip phones, but flip cell phones. You know?
Right, I know they're becoming like a hot item again, and I'm like, are we just watching?
We're just reverting.
Revert?
I heard somebody on TikTok the other day say that like, why don't we just have like a phone that's like in the house? That'd be so convenient. You know, if people can call you or text you in the house, and you don't ever have to do anything. It was like, we had those at one time. That's what those useless Ethernet ports are for.
Yeah, I watched someone say something similar about audiobooks when they were like, man, I wish audiobooks came with pictures. I was like, it's called a movie.
It's called a movie. You could just go see one, you know.
Yeah, like, what do you mean? Like,
yeah, when I was like looking, it was like some kid that was born in like 2006 or 7, and I was like, that is almost an adult. That makes me uncomfortable.
I know, I can't believe people are parents who weren't even alive when Shrek came out. Like,
dude, I know it feels weird. I'm a 2000s baby, and I've been called old. It happened the other day. I was
I've been called old for a minute, so I mean,
I was in a Hot Topic, and I was buying something, and this kid at the register was like, "Oh, 2000, huh?" And I was like, "Yeah," and he goes, "You getting old, huh?" I was like,
"Damn."
And I had to sit there and remind myself. I was like, it was bound to happen, Joseph.
When I was working for Big Cell Phone, like everybody in the store that everybody in the store that I was working with was like so much younger than me, and I was like, am I the fucking old guy? What is happening? But luckily there was 2 people older than me, so I was like, okay, I'm not the old guy, but goddamn.
I've earned my title among them.
Right.
It's okay. I mean, it felt weird getting called old. And I was like,
oh, dude, if I go to buy alcohol, they see my birth year starts with a 1 and just that's it. That's all
they don't even check. There's one lady at the Buffalo Wild Wings. She'll see me come in and she's like, "Oh, I don't need to see your ID." I'm like, oh,
like, gee, thanks.
And she's like, yeah, I've seen it once. It starts with a 0. You got 3 zeros. I don't need to ever see that again. It's like, oh, okay, cool.
So, I have this article that I want to read, and it is written crazy, but it is by scottclans.com. As far as I can tell, this is like a travel blog website about going and visiting Scotland. But this article is written hilariously, so I'm gonna read the whole thing. But like I said, it's scottclans.com, and it's about Bonnybridge. And it says, watching for aliens? Scotland has a fantastic reputation as a tourist destination. The dark rolling mountains, the crystal clear lochs, and misty glens. Every year, thousands of visitors flock to Scotland from America, Japan, Europe, and outer space. But strangely, our little green backpackers don't pour up the A9 to Inverness, stopping off for an overpriced coffee and cashmere scarf at Brewer Falls. They don't even take in some street theater at the Edinburgh Fringe. No, that's just too touristy. No, the alien elite head for the town of Bonnybridge. Assuming
Fantastic.
they're the alien elite. That's the entrance. Like, the first... That's how this article opens.
That's crazy.
And then it says, Bonnybridge is a small town near Falkirk with a population of around 6,000. It could possibly be the most unremarkable town in central Scotland, and yet the area, now referred to as the Falkirk Triangle, averages around 300 UFO sightings per year. This is more than anywhere else on the planet, making this sleepy little notch of Scotland's central belt the place to be seen. If your transport of choice is saucer shape, you have a penchant for mutilating cows and have a distinctly greenish pallor. I feel like I'm reading a hate article towards aliens. Like, I feel like these are slurs against aliens.
It's a little rude. It's a little rude, you know. I'm just saying.
If any aliens listen to this podcast, I did not write this article. I'm simply reading it as written. I think you're wonderful, and you probably have a gorgeous complexion. I don't know.
It's simply gorgeous.
Yeah, they straight up go through to say that having passed through Bonnybridge, I have to confess I'm at a loss to see the attraction. It has a very nice public library, the science fiction section being particularly well stocked. The Antonine Wall and Forth and Clyde Canal run nearby, and there's the usual smattering of commuter housing, but no secret military installations. Then again, I guess if they're secret, I wouldn't know. No alien autopsy sites. And then it says, in fact, the perfect place for Zarg the Merciless and his little Zargans to get away from all the stress of interplanetary domination.
I see. Also, what I thought was pretty funny is that if you go on like TripAdvisor and stuff,
yeah,
there's plenty of people that are like, yeah, if you're looking to see something, this is kind of like the best place to do it. Yeah. That's kind of what you're vacationing for. I'd come here, yeah. Yeah, it's worth it. Again, I just love all the reviews for housing, the reviews for trips, the reviews for people coming in, tourism. Like, you guys like aliens? Yeah, we got them. We got them here. But what an interesting find, because it's just like one of those places that's just like out of nowhere. Yeah, it's like, oh, wait, I didn't know this place existed until you told me. Like, I was like, what the fuck is this little place, dude? But it's so cool, though. I mean, I still love it. I still think it's awesome.
Yeah, and the council, like you said, the town is like totally embraced it. They're just like, yeah, it's wonderful to live here if you don't mind aliens. Like,
yeah, if you don't mind seeing them every once in a while. Like, it's so funny because it's become such a thing that most of the townsfolk don't report it anymore. They just kind of like report it to news and stuff. They don't go to the police anymore.
Right, yeah, because the police are like, okay, like, we live here too. Like,
yeah, but it's gotten to the point where some of the reviews on here are like, yeah, like, I'll see one like every, like maybe one a month. You know, like, what? You know, like, you just see them, you're like, huh, that's cool. You just walk. You just keep walking.
Yeah, just, weird, interesting. You just see some guy missing pants crawling on the ground. Aliens got me. Oh, you'll make it, buddy. Walk it off. You'll be alright.
Yeah, okay, I've got some ointment. Did your hair shirt?
Yeah.
You can't feel my
Preparation
legs.
H stocks are big in Bonnybridge.
You're like, man, okay, well, let's drive you to the hospital. Yeah, and actually, no, you can come crash on my couch a few days. You'll be fine.
Right. Something we touched on a little bit too that I think is interesting is we've talked about in the first Alien Files how interdimensional beings were confirmed by the government to exist, so we believe a lot of these alien sightings could be that. So I think that lends some credence to how much goes on here and people thinking there's probably a gateway to another dimension nearby. I believe that one way more than the Stone of Destiny theory.
Yeah, I think that the interdimensional thing is interesting because it does, like we were talking before, is like I think it poses an interesting question of like why we see things and then how they disappear so quickly. I explained it in our UFO hearing episode, where it's kind of like, a sewing machine. I still firmly believe that is kind of how we still see these things. Like, we see them in the transfer versus, they're just living in the water permanently. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, absolutely. It's crazy to think, like you said, that it is a sewing machine, but that makes the most sense. And the James Webb Telescope just found an image. I was trying to find the exact name of the image so I could be all smart. But they just found an image that basically, it's from the Cassiopeia, like supernova leftovers, basically. You know what I mean? Like we're witnessing it after the supernova has gone out, basically. And it almost looks like ripples or wrinkles in fabric around it, like produced by these waves and this gravity defying and upheaval of the supernova explosion. And so it's really interesting that we have that sewing machine theory, and then we see that and it looks like wrinkles in fabric, and it's like, I feel like that lends credence, like space-time is a fabric.
I'm telling you, we've been told that for a long time. I'm just saying. And for it to finally be like, oh, well, we know mathematically it works, but we haven't seen it. And then now that we're seeing stuff, it's like, oh, okay. Because it's really weird in the science community that seeing is believing. Which is really weird. But many people seeing is believing. So it's like...
because everything else starts out as theory.
Yeah. And so it's interesting to see that happen, and then you're like, oh, everything that we thought was real and made sense, it makes sense. You're like, okay. Well, like, in that photo, I know the photo you're talking about. I've seen it all over TikTok and stuff.
I know, I was trying to find... I know that it was in the Cassiopeia supernova thing, but I was trying to find the exact name, the scientific whatever name that they have, which is like Cassiopeia CL-25 fucking something.
Yeah. Yeah, and like I said, like, I think it lands a lot of credence when it comes to, like, supernatural stuff like aliens. Because, like, if you... It's something far beyond our comprehension. I say that, like, we do know what it is, we do exceed it, we understand it, but we don't use it in practice, right? So we have no idea how to utilize stuff like that. So it is interesting
we're on
to
different
see
technological and evolutionary levels.
Yeah, exactly. And so, like, I think that's really cool, personally. And like I said, that's my belief with the whole alien thing myself, is that I think that they either are interdimensional in the way they travel, because if they were like fifth dimensional beings, then we are, it's like the same thing as like what they were saying. If a 2D person existed, they could never perceive the third dimension.
Right.
We just don't have a way to view it. Now, if they invented something that allowed them to view in the third dimension, then they could see it, right? But it's still there.
But they couldn't. Yeah,
like,
but
that
they
dimension
potentially
is still
couldn't
there.
interact with it.
Yeah. Yeah, they could view it, they couldn't touch it. And so I think we're kind of in that same boat where we're still trying to view it. I don't think we'll be able to touch it without some sort of assistance from a different source. But I do think it would be very interesting to see advancements come from, like, what... Because I know for certain things have been going down, and I don't know what's going to happen in the next year or so, but I think most definitely within my lifetime, I think we'll have at least some sort of contact or some form of viewing this other fifth dimension, because we know it's there. We know it's there. We just can't do anything about it at the moment.
Yeah. There's a show that Seth MacFarlane does called the Orville, and spoilers for that show if you haven't seen it. In one of the episodes, they go to a planet that's very similar to Earth, but everyone has these buttons, with an up arrow, a down arrow, and then like numbers next to them. And if somebody likes you, they hit the up arrow. And if they don't like something you said or did or whatever, they hit the down arrow. And then everyone is on something called the live feed, which is basically just a constant feed of live activity all over. And if something big happens, they put it all over the live feed and people vote on it. And if you get too many downvotes, you become a prisoner. And then they have to basically give you a lobotomy to make you be a good person again and stuff. Well, anyway, they go there and a whole thing happens, but a girl from there remembers them and stuff and later asks them for help, and they come to help her, and she sneaks on board the ship and tries to leave with one of the inventions. And that's where I'm going to with all of this, is what she does with that invention. The invention is like this box that if you type a button on it and say make this, it just makes it. They use it several times throughout the series. They call it like a matter materializer or something like that. You literally just hold the button and like make me 600 cigarettes, and it does. Like, you know what I mean? But he does that in one episode. That's why I use those specifically. But anyway, she tries to steal one to take it to her planet because she says this technology would revolutionize my planet. This would help so many people. And I want in our lifetime something like that to happen, where whether it be a transdimensional being, an alien, a dragon, a fucking arson bear, whatever you want to call it, comes to us with some technology that will just make life better for everyone as a planet, and it's not immediately seized by the corrupted elite. You know what I mean?
I'm just saying, eat the rich. Eat the rich, baby.
Eat them. With barbecue sauce.
Barbecue sauce. Ooh.
Speaking of barbecue, there's a gentleman on TikTok by the name of Garkhouse Productions doing a series with the barbecue spear right now, and me and him have been talking, and hopefully we might get him on the show soon. So that'll be fun if that happens.
That'll be very exciting. Very exciting if we can get that. Which yes. I look forward to everything because it's gonna be a lot of fun. But yeah, that'd be interesting to get something that could be revolutionary.
Right.
I always say that the first thing we're gonna see out of any revolution from technology is weapons. It's just how we deal with things as human beings. So like it's gonna make it hard.
Always have.
And so it's gonna be interesting to see going forward what'll happen that way. But in terms of everything else, I hope that I can meet one. Just one day. I don't care if I'm 60, if I'm 80. God, if I'm 100, if I make it that long, then
yeah. There's a YouTube musical called like The Blues versus the Grays or something like that, and it's this guy and an alien lands in his backyard, and it's like a rapping musical kind of, but it's like it's got a bunch of parts. I don't know how many he's up to now. But it's really good. They're really catchy. But he tells a story of like all these different aliens fighting each other over the color of their skin. So there's blues and grays and yellows and greens, and like it's pretty crazy.
Alien racism,
huh? You'll love to see it. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, no. Yeah. It's okay. I've got freaking watching those two dudes that dress up as like the blue aliens.
Oh yeah, and they do like a podcast and everything.
It makes me laugh every fucking time. Like, it's so stupid too, but it's like they did the one where it's like they think the moon is real. It's like, wait, you think the moon is real? And it's like,
yeah,
I don't know. It made me laugh. It's so much fun. But I do love the content around all these things. And speaking of content, Bonnybridge does have a whole line of posters and clothes that you can buy that are alien themed when you go there.
That's amazing.
That's funny. They got a whole store there that's just dedicated to selling that stuff. They've got a restaurant that serves saucer pancakes. They're green.
Yeah.
And they come with a space butter. Ooh, and
Heck yeah.
galaxy syrup, which is blueberry syrup.
Ooh, that
It's
actually sounds fire.
Just funny. I just thought that was fun. Just a little tad little bit. But that's all. Man, that's everything. I ain't got nothing else.
I know I'm at the end of my thing too, but you know, we shamelessly promoted Bonnybridge a little bit throughout this, and I think they would want. They're such generous people. They'd want us to shamelessly promote ourselves. So Joey, what are your things?
I'm gonna say for my own shameless promotion today, I'm gonna shout out my own TTRPG from the Stars Reemergence. If you have wanted to play an alien race or a person or something like a frogman, perhaps, I have plenty of that up on my Patreon at patreon.com/patchworkgames, all one word, and that's gonna be PATCHWERK games. And that's just one of my many TTRPG things I have up. I also have plenty of add-ons for the game, classes, all sorts of stuff. So if you're a TTRPG fan and you want to toss me a little coin, I'd appreciate it much. But I've got nothing else there. Nate, you got anything? Mm-hmm.
Oh, I have all of the things. And by that I mean all of the social medias except for Snapchat and X. And you can find me there as Nate Blizzard Wizard Swanner. That's BLZZRD WZZRD. You can find me pretty much everywhere. I'm also a voice actor. And I like do impressions sometimes. But you can find me at the same website of the same name, blzzrdwzzrd.com. And I look forward to seeing you guys over there. We look forward to seeing you guys on our next episode. We love all of our Delvers. Please like, share, subscribe, comment, all of the things that helps us. It helps the algorithm. It helps you if you want to hear more of this. And if you get the chance to go to Scotland, give Bonnybridge a visit.
Absolutely. Absolutely give them a visit, especially if you're one for the paranormal. There's a lot of stuff there, and I guarantee you will find a lot of good eats, because apparently they have a lot of 4- and 5-star restaurants there.
Heck yeah.
Really weird. But yeah, if you go do that, you'll have some good eats and probably see something in the sky, so enjoy that.
The place that might be a gateway to another dimension has unusually good food and people who enjoy living there, so they're probably also kind of prosperous. I'm sure that's not related.
I'm just saying, man. But until next time, Delvers, we're gonna go ahead and log off here. And next time you'll have to visit us when we do our yokai, or perhaps we'll have our friend come on here and we'll do another cryptid. So,
yeah.
see you guys next week. It's gonna be a lot of fun. Thanks, Nate, for coming on here every week. And I'll see you guys later.
Bye.